Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Vlog Podcast. Today is Friday, June 1st, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night's thrilling Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Cavs and the Warriors. Look back on baseball last night. Look ahead to tonight's slate of games. Go give out my May awards for Major League Baseball. Do my MLB mock draft. Talk about NBA summer a little bit. And get into my predictions for June and the rest of the summer in Major League Baseball. Here we go. Great game last night. The Warriors beat the Cavaliers 124-114 in overtime. The final score is deceiving. LeBron James was the best player on the court even in defeat. 51 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists in the loss. Steph Curry had 29 points and 9 assists in the win. A couple bad calls. They originally called a charge on Durant, but they changed the call to a blocking foul of the LeBron. Durant hits the 2 free throws. Then George Hill is fouled trying to get into the lane. He makes 1 free throw, and then he misses the second, and it's tied. J.R. Smith foolishly gets the offensive rebound off the miss. What he does that's foolish is that he lets the clock run out instead of calling a timeout. That came back to haunt the Cavs as they fall in Oracle Arena in Game 1 of the Finals. Sunday night will be Game 2, and I'm going to pick the game on Sunday's podcast. Major League Baseball, I'm going to try to make this quick. I'm just going to do the scores. I'm not going to go over how the runs were scored and everything. I'm just going to say the score and the winning pitcher, losing pitcher, and the pitcher with the save. The Tigers defeat the Angels 6-2 as they improved to 26-30. The Angels dropped to 30-27. Warwick Sawpole with the win. He's now 3-1 on the year. Andrew Heaney with the loss. He drops to 2-4. The Athletics defeated the Rays 7-3 as they improved to 29-28. The Rays dropped to 28-27. Daniel Mengden with the win. He's now 6-4 on the year. Ryan Stanek with the loss, now 1-1. And Blake Tirian with the save, his 13th of the year. Yankees-Orioles postponed makeup date July 9th. The Cubs defeated the Mets 5-1 as they improved to 30-23. The Mets dropped to 27-27. Jose Quintana with the win. He's now 6-4 on the year. Hansel Robles with the loss. He drops to 2-2. And Brendan Morrow with the save. That's his 13th of the year. The Cardinals defeated the Pirates 10-8 on a walk-off home run by Yaro Munoz as they scored 5 in the 9th as they came back to beat the Pirates. St. Louis improved to 30-24. Pittsburgh dropped to 29-27. Mike Myers with the win, now 2-0. Felipe Vasquez with the loss and the blown save drops to 2-2. The Braves defeated the Nationals 4-2 as they improved to 33-23. The Nats dropped to 32-23. Sean Newcomb with the win, now 6-1 on the year. Tanner Roark with the loss drops to 2-5. Arodys Viciano with the save, his 10th. The Phillies defeated the Dodgers 2-1 as they improved to 31-23. The Dodgers dropped to 26-23. Aaron Nola with the win, now 7-2 on the year. Josh Fields with the loss drops to 2-2. Sir Anthony Dominguez with his 2nd save of the year. The Indians defeated the Twins 9-8 as they improved to 30-25. The Twins dropped to 22-30. Tyler Olson with the win, now 1-1 on the year. Addison Reed with the loss drops to 1-4. Cody Allen with his 9th save of the year. The Astros defeated the Red Sox 4-2 as they improved to 36-22. The Red Sox dropped to 39-18. Lance McCullers Jr. with the win, now 7-3 on the year. Drew Pomeranz with the loss. He drops to 1-3. Ken Giles gets his 10th save of the year. The Padres defeated the Marlins 8-3 as they improved to 25-33. The Marlins dropped to 20-36. Jordan Lyles with the win. He improves to 2-1. Wei Chen with the loss drops to 1-3. Brad Hand gets his 17th save of the year. The Mariners defeated the Rangers 6-1 as they improved to 34-22. The Rangers dropped to 24-35. Wade LeBlanc with the win. His first win of the year. He's 1-0. Mike Minor with the loss. He drops to 4-4. Today's games, I'm going to try to make this quick because their games get underway in an hour. Yankees-Orioles, Sonny Gray against Andrew Cashner. This was supposed to be yesterday's pitching matchup, but they just moved it a day ahead. Blue Jays-Tigers, Jaime Garcia and Blaine Hardy. Cubs-Mets, Tyler Chatwood and Zach Wheeler. Nationals-Braves, Steven Strasburg and Mike Falta units. Brewers-White Sox, Chase Anderson and Hector Santiago. Indians-Twins, Carlos Carrasco and Jose Barrios. Red Sox-Astros, Chris Sale and Garrett Cole. That's a great game. Athletics-Royals, Frankie Montas and Ian Kennedy. Pirates-Cardinals, Jamison Tynan and Miles McCollus. Dodgers, Rockies, Scott Alexander and Tyler Anderson. Marlins, Diamondbacks, Elieser Hernandez and Clay Buchholz. Rangers, Angels, Bartolo Colon and Jaime Barria. Rays, Mariners, Sergio Romo and Mike Leake. Reds, Padres, Tyler Mahle and Walker Lockett making his first start of the year. And Phillies, Giants, you have Nick Pivetta and Chris Stratton. All right, now I'm going to do the mock draft. I'm just going to say the team and the player. I have no time to do the subscriptions on all the players. 1, Tigers, Casey Mize, the righty from Auburn. 2, San Francisco Giants, Joey Bart, the catcher from Georgia Tech. 3, Philadelphia Phillies, Nick Madrigal, second baseman, Oregon State. 4, Chicago White Sox, Brady Singer, the righty from Florida. 5, Cincinnati Reds, Jonathan India, the third baseman from Florida. 6, the New York Mets, Alec Boehm, third baseman, Wichita State. 7, San Diego Padres, Matthew Liberatore, the lefty from Mountain Ridge High School in Arizona. 8, Atlanta Braves, Nolan Gorman, the third baseman from Sandra Day O'Connor High School in Arizona. 9, Oakland Athletics, Travis Swaggerty, the outfielder from South Alabama. 10, Pittsburgh Pirates, Carter Stewart, the righty from Eau Gallie High School in Florida. 11, Baltimore Orioles, Ryan Weathers, the lefty from Loretto High School in Tennessee. 12, Toronto Blue Jays, Jared Kelenic, outfielder, Waukesha West High School in Wisconsin. 13, Miami Marlins, Cole Winn, the righty from Orange Lutheran High School in California. 14, Seattle Mariners, Grayson Rodriguez, the righty from Central Heights High School in Texas. 15, Texas Rangers, Ryan Rollison, the lefty from Ole Miss. 16, Tampa Bay Rays, Jordan Adams, the outfielder from Green Hope High School in North Carolina. 17, Los Angeles Angels, Logan Gilbert, the righty from Stetson. 18, Kansas City Royals, Jackson Coward, the righty from Florida. 19, St. Louis Cardinals, Connor Scott, outfielder, Plant High School in Florida. 20, Minnesota Twins, Shane McClanahan, the lefty from South Florida. 21, Milwaukee Brewers, Ethan Hawkins, the righty from Forsyth Central High School in Georgia. 22, Colorado Rockies, Cole Wilcox, the righty from Heritage High School in Georgia. 23, New York Yankees, Bryce Terang, the shortstop from Santiago High School in California. 24, the Chicago Cubs, Kumar Rocker, the righty from North Oconee High School in Georgia. 25, Arizona Diamondbacks, Jordan Groshas, the third baseman from Magnolia High School in Texas. 26, Boston Red Sox, Steele Walker, the outfielder from Oklahoma. 27, Washington Nationals, Mason Denneberg, the righty from Merritt Island High School from Florida. He's also a catcher, but I think he's going to be drafted as a pitcher. 28, Houston Astros, Noah Naylor, the catcher and third baseman from St. Joan of Arc High School in Ontario, Canada. 29, Cleveland Indians, Nick Schnell, the outfielder from Roncalli High School in Indiana. And 30, the Los Angeles Dodgers, Trevor Lawrence, the outfielder from Oregon State. Now I'm going to give out my monthly awards and my All-Stars. My American League Player of the Month, J.D. Martinez of the Boston Red Sox. AL Pitcher of the Month, Justin Verlander, Houston Astros. AL Rookie of the Month, Gleyber Torres, New York Yankees. AL Reliever of the Month, Kelvin Herrera of the Kansas City Royals. National League Player of the Month, Bryce Harper, Washington Nationals. Pitcher of the Month, Max Scherzer, Washington Nationals. Rookie of the Month, Christian Villanueva, San Diego Padres. Reliever of the Month, Jordan Hicks, St. Louis Cardinals. My All-Stars, American League. Catcher, Gary Sanchez, even though he hasn't been good behind the plate this year. And his hitting is been a little up and down, low average, but the home runs and the ribbies are there. And I think he will get the fan vote as the American League starting catcher. First base, Jose Abreu. Second base, Jose Altuve. Shortstop, Manny Machado. Third base, Jose Ramirez. Outfield, Mookie Betts, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge. DH, J.D. Martinez. American League reserves, catcher, Wilson Ramos. First base, C.J. Cron. Second base, Gleyber Torres and Jed Lowry. Shortstops, Francisco Lindor and Andrelton Simmons. Third base, Mike Moustakas. And outfield, Nicholas Castellanos, Eddie Rosario, Kevin Pillar, Michael Brantley, DH, Shohei Ohtani. American League pitchers, Cole Hamels, James Paxton, Justin Verlander, Corey Kluber, Luis Severino, Blake Snell, Charlie Morton, Garrett Cole, Trevor Bauer. Relievers, Kelvin Herrera, Aroldis Chapman, Craig Kimbrell, Blake Tirian, and Chris Stavinsky. National League starters, Catcher, Buster Posey. First base, Freddie Freeman. Second base, Ozzie Albies. Shortstop, Eugenio Suarez. Third base, Nolan Arenado. Outfield, Matt Kemp, Abdul Herrera, Bryce Harper. DH, Chris Bryant. National League Reserves. Catcher, Wilson Contreras. First baseman, Brandon Belt and Jose Martinez. Second base, Scooter Gennett. Shortstop, Brandon Crawford. Third base, Brian Anderson. Outfielders, Nick Markakis, Lorenzo Cain, Corey Dickerson, Christian Yelich, and Starling Marte. National League starting pitchers, Tyson Ross, Patrick Corbin, Jacob deGrom, Gio Gonzalez, Jake Arrieta, Aaron Nola, Max Scherzer, Miles McCullough, John Lester. Relievers, Josh Hader, Jordan Hicks, Brad Hand, Brad Boxberger, and Brandon Morrow. Now I'm going to do my predictions for the month of June in Major League Baseball. Diamondbacks. The team will be double digits above 500, sitting in either first or second place in the division. Let's go with first place, because you'll see why with my Dodgers prediction. Atlanta Braves. Third place in the division, as they will miss Ronald Acuna, and their starting pitching will regress. Baltimore Orioles. Manny Machado wins the American League Player of the Month for June. Boston Red Sox. Dustin Pedroia is back on the disabled list, because he always seems to be on the disabled list. Chicago Cubs. Chris Bryant has double-digit homers. Chicago White Sox will be in third place in the American League Central, as Jose Abreu will carry the offense, as well as Matt Davidson and Tim Anderson and Yoan Moncada. And their starting pitching will be a little bit better. The Cincinnati Reds. Nick Senzel finally called up. Cleveland Indians. Shane Bieber makes immediate impact. Rockies. Nolan Arenado hits double-digit homers. Detroit Tigers. Michael Fulmer pitches better as his trade value increases. Houston Astros. Justin Verlander wins the American League Pitcher of the Month. Kansas City Royals. Kelvin Herrera wins the American League Reliever of the Month for June. Los Angeles Angels. Mike Trout leads the majors in homers. Los Angeles Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw end up back on the disabled list due to a back issue. The Miami Marlins. Lewis Brinson finally has a good hitting month. I think he'll improve his average and hit a lot of home runs. Milwaukee Brewers. Josh Hader wins the NL Reliever of the Month for June. Minnesota Twins will still be under 500. The New York Mets will be under 500. The New York Yankees. Gleyber Torres will win the American League Rookie of the Month for June. And I think he'll win for May as well. And it's funny because I think that Verlander will win the American League Pitcher of the Month for May and June, as well as Kelvin Herrera. Oakland Athletics. Matt Olson hits double-digit homers. Philadelphia Phillies. Jake Arrieta wins National League Pitcher of the Month. Pittsburgh Pirates will be under 500. St. Louis Cardinals. Miles McCullough will stay in the rotation. He's been brilliant in their rotation. I think he'll make the All-Star team, and he has just been very good for them. And I don't see why they'll pull him out of that rotation unless he starts to struggle. San Diego Padres. Franmil Reyes wins the June National League Rookie of the Month. San Francisco Giants. Fourth place in the National League West and sub 500. Seattle Mariners. Third place in the American League West, as they'll start to miss Robinson Cano and D. Gordon offensively. Tampa Bay Rays. Nathan Eovaldi pitches well and turns into trade bait. Texas Rangers. Bartolo Colon continues to pitch well. Toronto Blue Jays. Yangervis Solarte regresses after a hot start. Washington Nationals. Bryce Harper has yet another monster month and will win the National League Player of the Month. So that's a couple players that I have winning my own personal Player of the Month award for May, and I think MLB will give the awards to those players. And I have a feeling that Harper will win NL Player of the Month, and Gleyber Torres will be the Rookie of the Month in the American League for June. Verlander for AL Pitcher of the Month for June and whatnot. Summer predictions for everything. Most of these are trades, and pretty much, and some of them are random. Arizona Diamondbacks. I think they trade for Brian Dozier. Atlanta Braves. I think they trade for Mike Moustakas. Baltimore Orioles. Manny Machado, Adam Jones, Zach Britton, and Brad Brach all traded. Red Sox. Mookie Betts will still be the favorite for the American League MVP award. Cubs. Trade for Brad Ziegler. White Sox. Jose Abreu and Joakim Soria traded. Cincinnati Reds. Raciel Iglesias traded. Cleveland Indians. Trade for Brad Hand. Rockies. Ryan McMahon traded to improve their bullpen or rotation. McMahon hasn't really panned out for them, and I think they'll use him as a trade asset as they take advantage before his value decreases. Detroit Tigers. Shane Green, Michael Fulmer, Francis Liriano all traded. Astros. Trade for Zach Britton. Royals. Kelvin Herrera, Mike Moustakas, Danny Duffy all traded. Angels. Trade for Shane Green and Danny Duffy. Dodgers. Trade for Raciel Iglesias and Adam Jones. Miami Marlins. JT Realmuto, Justin Bour, Brad Ziegler, Starlin Castro all traded. Brewers. Trade for JT Realmuto, Starlin Castro, and Chris Archer. Minnesota Twins. Logan Morrison and Brian Dozier traded. New York Mets. Asdrubal Cabrera and Jurisis Familia traded. New York Yankees. I've been saying this forever on this podcast. I predicted it before the year. And this is spoiler to another team's prediction. I think the New York Yankees will trade for Madison Bumgarner at the trading deadline, as I think San Francisco has a sell-off. And I also think that the Yankees will improve their bullpen by trading for one of these relievers, whether it's one of the ones I just mentioned or somebody else that I'm not even thinking about, as their bullpen has shown some fatigue from Joe Girardi overusing guys like Tommy Kahnle and David Robertson in last year's playoffs. Oakland Athletics. Blake Tirion and Jed Lowry traded. Tyrion's the guy that would make sense for the Yankees. He's had a career year so far, and Cashman always likes to make deals with Billy Beane. And Jed Lowry's somebody that I think can help a contender. Philadelphia Phillies. Trade for Cole Hamels for a little reunion and Brad Brach. Pirates. Josh Harrison, Corey Dickerson, and Francisco Cervelli traded. Cardinals. Trade for Manny Machado and Zach Britton. Wait a minute, I had Britton going to Houston. I think that Familia ends up on the Astros. Let's go Erases Familia to Houston, and then Britton and Machado in a double package from Baltimore to St. Louis. San Diego Padres. Brad Hand and Tyson Ross traded. Giants. I gave this one away already. I think they blow it up and realize it's time to rebuild by trading away Madison Bumgarner and Brandon Belt. Seattle Mariners. Dan Vogelbach finally breaks out. I think he's going to have an impact for them in the second half of the year, and he'll earn an everyday spot in their lineup, whether it's like a platoon DH with Nelson Cruz, as they can move Cruz back to the outfield, and they can put Denard Span on the bench and D. Gordon at second base, assuming they somehow find the way to make the playoffs. That would be the case for that. Tampa Bay Rays. Daniel Robertson and Chris Archer traded. Texas Rangers. Cole Hamels, Bartolo Colon, and Adrian Beltre traded. Toronto Blue Jays. Josh Donaldson traded, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. finally called up to the big leagues, as well as Bo Bichette. Washington Nationals trade for Kelvin Herrera. I think that would be a nice addition for that bullpen. I think they need one more big arm to go with Sean Doolittle and Brian Kinsler in that bullpen. I want to talk about NBA Summer real quick. I'm going to not make predictions necessarily, but I'm going to talk about some things that I think could possibly happen this summer. I think there's going to be a lot of player movement and a lot of trades going on. So it's going to be a very wild offseason. Atlanta Hawks. I'm just going to go through every team and list some targets for every team. So the Hawks, Jabari Parker, that'd be a nice fit. Dante Exum, Mario Hazonia. So what I listed as 3 players that haven't panned out, and they were all lottery picks. And a lot of them have been injured, and some of them just haven't panned out. Celtics, bringing back Marcus Smart and Aaron Baines. They can bring in a backup point guard in Jared Jack that could come off the bench and shoot threes for them and play a little D. Brooklyn Nets, Aaron Gordon. That would be an interesting fit, a combo forward. Bringing back Joe Harris. He was a solid player for them. Alex Len. That makes sense for what the Nets are doing, bringing in young guys that haven't panned out yet to see if they can catch lightning in a bottle with some of them. So Len would make sense for them. Charlotte Hornets. Fred VanVleet had a career year coming off the bench for the Raptors. Treveon Graham. And he is somebody that the Hornets would like to bring back. Shane Larkin, who had some nice minutes for the Celtics coming off the bench. The Bulls. Do they bring back Zach LaVine? Kentavious Caldwell-Pope would be a fun fit on that team as like a 6th man. And David Nwaba, who was a G League call-up and showed some impact. The Cavs. LeBron James. Do they bring him back or let him go for nothing? They are facing a lot of pressure in these finals to somehow pull this out, and that would increase the likelihood of the King returning to the land. Bringing back Jeff Green, who's been a solid role player for them. Ersan Ilyasova would be a nice fit off the bench, shooting some threes. The Dallas Mavericks, DeMarcus Cousins. He'd be a nice fit alongside Dirk Nowitzki. Clint Capella would be interesting. He's a restricted free agent. Julius Randle, I've seen the Mavericks links to him a lot. Denver Nuggets, they have to bring back Nikola Jokic. He's going to demand max money, and he's deserved it. Although he doesn't play much defense. Will Barton, do they bring him back? Tyreek Evans had a career year in Memphis, and he would be a nice fit off the bench for Denver. Torrey Craig had a nice year, and he is somebody that would demand some nice money. Oh, breaking news on the podcast. I said it as my bold prediction for June for the Dodgers, and here we go. Clayton Kershaw to the disabled list. So that's one prediction down already for the Dodgers. Back to basketball. Detroit Pistons bringing back Anthony Tolliver. He was a nice role player for them. Mario Hazonia, he would be an interesting flyer for them. Glenn Robinson III, who showed some promise with the Pacers last year. Golden State, they have to bring back Kevin Durant. He's their best player. I think he's underappreciated defensively because of the presence of Draymond Green. Wayne Ellington would be a nice bench piece for them. Kevin Looney has been tremendous for them as he started in place of Andre Iguodala in these playoffs. Houston, Chris Paul, you got to bring him back. LeBron James, Paul is already recruiting LeBron. Clint Capella, you got to bring him back if you're Houston. If they find somehow to bring back Clint Capella and Chris Paul and somehow land LeBron James, maybe if that involves getting rid of Eric Gordon, I think they're in tremendous shape. Indiana Pacers, Tyreek Evans, career in Memphis would be a nice bench piece for them. Avery Bradley, who was a little down in Detroit and then got traded to the Clippers. He's a free agent. Wayne Ellington, solid bench player. The Clippers, do they bring back Avery Bradley? James Ennis is somebody that would be a nice fit off the bench for them. Montrezl Harrell was a great player for them off the bench. Do they bring him back? The Lakers, do they bring in LeBron James and Paul George or one of the two? That is the big question for them this summer. And the other thing is, do they bring back Julius Randle? Because he had a career year last year, and I think his decision directs right at what happens with LeBron and Paul George. Memphis Grizzlies, do they bring back Tyreek Evans? Wayne Ellington would be a nice fit for them off the bench. Patrick McCall is interesting. He's been a great bench player for the Warriors these past couple years. Miami Heat, Wayne Ellington, do they bring him back? Dwayne Wade, does he come back or does he retire? Nick Stauskas is somebody that the Heat can look at, as they like to bring in reclamation projects sometimes, as he was traded from Sacramento to Philly, then from Philly to Brooklyn. Milwaukee Bucks, do they bring back Jabari Parker? Do they bring in Will Barton as a sixth man? Kyle O'Quinn possibly as like a starting center. He's shown some promise off the bench for the Knicks these last couple years. The Minnesota Timberwolves, do they bring in a veteran like Joe Harris? Do they bring back Nimicha Vejika, who was a solid player for them coming off the bench? Or Luka Mute was a vital player for the Rockets. New Orleans Pelicans, do they bring back DeMarcus Cousins and Rajon Rondo? Danny Green, somebody that makes sense for them off the bench. The New York Knicks, Jeremy Grant is somebody who had some moments for Oklahoma City. Michael Beasley is somebody that got some buckets for them, who started for them once Kristaps Porzingis got hurt. Do they bring him back? Do they bring back Jared Jack? He was solid for them earlier in the year, and then he flamed out. Oklahoma City, do they bring back Paul George? Do they bring back Jeremy Grant? Could somebody like Glenn Robinson III be a nice fit for them off the bench? Orlando Magic, do they bring back Aaron Gordon? Yogi Ferrell was a solid player for the Mavericks these last couple years. Do they bring back Mario Hezonja? Philadelphia 76ers, do they get a shot at LeBron James and Paul George? Or even Kawhi Leonard? Do they bring back J.J. Redick, who is a good veteran for them as a starter? Phoenix Suns, Aaron Gordon. I've heard Gordon linked to the Suns a lot these past couple months, as they could use help at the forward position to go with T.J. Warren. Derek Favors, Isaiah Thomas, do they bring him back? On a flyer, Portland Trailblazers, do they bring back Joseph Nurkic, who was disappointing this past year? Do they bring back Ed Davis? Pat Connaughton is interesting. Do they bring him in? Sacramento Kings, Rodney Hood, who fell out of the rotation for the Cavaliers. That would be a nice reclamation project for the Kings. Mario Hezonja, he's interesting. David Nwaba, would he come in and help? San Antonio Spurs, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he'd be a nice fit there. Avery Bradley would obviously be a good fit there. Do they bring back Kyle Anderson? Toronto Raptors, do they bring back Fred VanVleet? Do they bring in a defender that's versatile like Luke Mute? Or Kevin Looney even? Utah Jazz, do they bring back Derek Favors? Do they chase a veteran wing player like Joe Harris, who was solid for the Brooklyn Nets this past year? Or even Dante Exum, who they could bring back on a flyer? And last but not least, the Washington Wizards, do they bring back Mike Scott, who was a solid bench player for them? Shabazz Napier did a nice job backing up Damian Lillard this year in Portland. Trevon Graham would be interesting for them. That's it for the NBA offseason preview, and that's it for today's podcast. I'll be back tomorrow recapping all the baseball action. Look ahead to tomorrow night's Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. And I'll also be doing my NHL mock draft since I didn't do it today. I hope you guys have a great weekend, everybody.